another day is here. Wake up, Billies, wake up, Billies. We gotta keep na. Wake up, Billies, wake up, Billies. Everybody gotta put the time in. Wake up, Billies, wake up, Billies. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB. Be yourself, see yourself, this is the show of people. Believe our hope, so to needless reason. Nobody feel left out, is the vibe we dealing. Let's find a solution, yeah. No respect on selfishness and cooperation. That's how we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes, WB. And all the things that will feel happen like our blue skies. I don't think that people get victimized. Let's work together for better, we got to unite. Wake up, Billies, wake up, Billies. Another day is here. Wake up, Billies, wake up, Billies. We gotta keep moving, na. Wake up, Billies, wake up, Billies. Everybody gotta put the time in. Wake up, Billies, wake up, Billies. Voice our opinion and place your calling. Get up, make every day count up. Wasted people, do your part, play around, get where you need to. You can tune in for work or in your vehicle. Before that, I probably pick up the phone. Why wait till the time calling? It's a show with no matter even if you're at home. Just call in. WB. Wake up, Billies, wake up, Billies. Another day is here. Wake up, Billies, wake up, Billies. We gotta keep moving, na. Wake up, Billies, wake up, Billies. Everybody gotta put the time in. Wake up, Billies, wake up, Billies. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB. Be yourself, see yourself, this is the show of people. Believe our hope, so to needless reason. Nobody feel left out, is the vibe we dealing. Let's find a solution, yeah. No respect on selfishness and cooperation. That's how we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes, WB. And all the things that will feel happen like our blue skies. I don't think that people get victimized. Let's work together for better, we got to unite. Wake up, Billies, wake up, Billies. Another day is here. Wake up, Billies, wake up, Billies. We gotta keep moving, na. Wake up, Billies, wake up, Billies. Everybody gotta put the time in. Wake up, Billies, wake up, Billies. Voice our opinion and place your calling, WB.
Good morning, Belize. Welcome to the WB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. It's Thursday, the 7th of November, 2024. We hope your morning is one that's rich with great health, great energy. We hope that your vibrations are positive and that you've got space to be with us this morning. Chill out with Creme Radio and XTV, Mose Hyde hosting Belize's premier morning conversation, the WB Wake Up Belize. We want to welcome all our listeners, our viewers, everybody getting us via our apps or via social media streams, and to those who are getting us via simulcast. Come on down, come on in, make yourselves comfortable. This is how we do it. But before we get down to reasoning and exchanging views, thoughts, and concerns, we serve up what we call the preliminaries, short warm-up for things. That consists of a bit of news for you, what's the top stories starting the day. But before that, we've got your weather forecast, and that's provided by the National Meteorological Service. And today we've got the head forecaster, Ronald Gordons, telling us what kind of weather we can expect over the next 24 hours.
Morning Belize. This is your morning weather update from the National Meteorological Service. Fair and dry conditions continue to dominate our weather. As a result, we expect mostly sunny skies today and clear to partly cloudy skies tonight. Showers, if any, will be isolated. High temperatures for today will range from 87 Fahrenheit along coastal areas, 92 inland and 81 in the hills. Lows tonight will be near 76 Fahrenheit along the coast, 70 inland and 67 up in the mountain Pine Ridge. Winds will be light and variable and sea conditions will be slight. There will be a low tide at 8:32 this morning, followed by a high tide at 8 minutes past 3 this afternoon. Sunrise this morning was at 5:54 and the sun will set at 5:18 this evening. The moon will rise later this morning at 11:18 and it will set at 10:34 tonight. The outlook from Friday and the Friday night is for continuing mainly fair and dry weather. At 6 this morning, Hurricane Raphael was located near latitude 24.3 degrees north, longitude 84.9 west, or about 180 miles west-northwest of Havana, Cuba. Raphael was moving to the northwest at 9 miles per hour with maximum sustained winds of 105 miles per hour. In terms of sargassum, impacts, if any, will remain minimal as observations show little to no sargassum over the area. And that's the latest forecast from the National Meteorological Service. Join us at midday for another weather update.
The first private radio in Belize since 1989. FM presents the news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news, weather and sports. And now, the news.
Making top news this morning. While the final tally is yet to be released, the citizens of the world superpower, the United States, have voted in Republican Donald Trump as their next president. He defeated current Vice President Kamala Harris by a large margin. Trump won 72 million popular votes, or 51%, while Harris received 67.2 million votes. Trump received 292 of the electoral votes compared to 224 that went to Harris. 270 were needed for the presidential win. President-elect Trump will take office in January of 2025. Belize's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Francis Fonseca, congratulated Trump on his victory. Fonseca said he does not believe Belizeans in the U.S. should fear being deported, providing they are there legally.
You know, Belize always respects the will of the people. The American people have spoken very clearly and very loudly. And so, you know, Belize enjoys a very, very strong friendship and partnership with the United States of America. We congratulate the President-elect, Donald Trump, and we look forward to, in 2025, we look forward to working with his administration, you know, and we look forward to, again, to continuing to strengthen the relationship between Belize and the United States. It's a very, very important relationship for us, and we are committed to working very closely with any U.S. president and their administration to advance our mutual needs and interests.
Fonseca said he expects the two countries to continue to have an amicable relationship as they had during Trump's first term, and said both countries share similar goals.
No. I think, you know, we enjoyed, again, very good relations with the United States of America. Even as you said, when President Trump was in office previously. And we have enjoyed very, very good, strong relations with them during President Biden's term in office. That term comes to an end in January of next year, and President Trump will once again be in office, and we expect the same. We expect to have a good, strong working relationship and partnership with his administration, because we have shared goals in terms of regional challenges that we face, security issues, combating narco trafficking, combating human trafficking, combating crime and violence. Those are shared goals. So I expect us to have a very good working relationship.
Belize agriculture officials are nervous about the New World screwworm getting to Belize and threatening our $90 million cattle industry, once only worth about $20 million. In collaboration with regional organizations, they have mounted what they deem a robust prevention campaign, as they consider that it is only a matter of time before the NWS fly reaches Belize. This can happen in several ways. The fly can travel here, the larva can be transported unknowingly, or via the carcass of an infected animal. The fly burrows into the living tissue of mammals and feeds on it. They are drawn by the blood of any open wound, and therefore all livestock producers are being asked to treat every single wound on their cattle, something that they had not been doing religiously. Alarmingly, they are also now drawn to mucus. The screwworm was eradicated in Belize in 1994, and the country wants to remain screwworm-free. That eradication started with Mexico and continued all the way to Panama. However, the Darien Gap, a dense forest used by migrants, was a weak spot, and so they kept releasing sterile flies to combat the disease. That plan worked until now. The disease returned in Panama early this year. The Ministry of Agriculture held a press conference on the issue yesterday. As we reported last week, there is now an infestation in Izabal, Guatemala. Here's Minister Jose Mai.
In a straight line, some 45 miles south of Tolima, which for us, it makes us very nervous. So we have to assume that that's correct. It's a matter of time. But before that happens, we have to have everything in place. There is a prevention plan, and there is a control and eradication plan. We are at the end of the prevention plan. Right, we have to assume and think that we will have it, and so we have to act both in preventative mode and in control and eradication mode. We don't want to commit the same errors that other countries have made in the region. That you have it, you have a plan, you don't know what to do. We are far beyond that. We are ahead of that. So that will be here. We hope that is not the case, but we have to take the things will happen, or we have to prepare for it.
Minister, there are now more cattle farmers than cane farmers. The latter number around 5,000 and around 6,000 farmers are now involved in cattle production, according to the ministry's registry. 70% of those are small and medium farmers owning less than 50 heads of cattle each. At this time, the government is not considering stopping exportation of cattle to Guatemala. Neither has Mexico announced it will halt importation from Belize. Minister Ma explained that if necessary, they will begin quarantining the Toledo district. Chief Agriculture Officer Belarmino Esquivel advised that even the smallest laceration requires treatment.
Farmers become more vigilant. Farmers need to become more observant. They can no longer rely on doing cattle production as they were doing it, because it just requires an opening, a laceration, cut. Even the opening when administering an injection or removing a pig, the hardening, branding, that animals are exposed to the fly, even mucus. So there is no doubt that we are very cognizant of the imminent threat. But if at some point in time it comes into the mix, we will know the social and economic and the cosmetic impact we have at the production level, at the social level, and from an economic standpoint.
Sorry about the audio. Esquivel estimates that it would cost at minimum $50 for farmers to treat one infected animal. That does not include labor. In the case of about 12 cattle farms along either side of the South-Stone border, Minister of Agriculture Jose Ma explained that the danger lies in the ranchers potentially sharing cattle among themselves. The administration plans to sign into law statutory instruments featuring regulations for points of entry to to safeguard the livelihood of the thousands of citizens who depend on the industry. Surveillance currently entails agriculture officers going into high-risk zones to meet with cattle farmers. Dr. Roxana Alvarez, Baja Animal Health Director, spoke of preventative measures as it only takes one infected animal to lead to an infestation. The female NWS fly lays between 300 to 450 eggs at one wound.
Some of the preventative measures that can be done, that you can do as a producer, as a farmer, as the owner of dog or a pig, a cat, some of these measures are very simple. One, inspect your animals regularly. You're the first line of defense against it. You keep an eye on your animals and any wound that appears, even if it is a tick bite, even if it is an injection, if it is warning, if your dog has a bee worm, those wounds need to be treated. We have approved products that I will mention in a little bit, and those are the products that you need to have on hand and be prepared for any sort of appearance of wounds, but even before wounds appear, for any sort of management practices that are carried out for branding, for the treatment of the parasites. These are necessary for you to keep on hand. Another thing that needs to be done and that you should be doing is ensuring that your animals are free of ectoparasites, of acarids mainly, and that those are things. Institute a regular management of ectoparasites for all your animals. And this goes across the board: dogs, cats, sheep, pigs, and cattle, of course. Don't move animals that have wounds, but most importantly, report and notify the authorities of animals that have wounds.
There are 3 primary registered products in Belize known to be effective against the screwworm. These can be found at vet stores. Regionally sterile flies are being used to combat the disease. Yesterday, Belize's Minister of Education, Honorable Francis Fonseca, was asked for his opinion on the interest of billionaire Elon Musk's SpaceX in expanding its Starlink satellite internet service to Belize. Starlink promises stable internet service, albeit not cheap, to remote areas not being serviced by current internet service providers. The Social Security Board and BTL employees have since opposed the entry of SpaceX to Belize. Fonseca said the government is awaiting presentations from stakeholders on the matter.
You know, we've had a very brief discussion about it in cabinet. I don't know enough about the issue because it's a technical issue. But we're going to get a proper presentation. That's what we discussed and agreed. We're going to get a proper presentation from the PUC and other from the Ministry, I think, of Public Utilities as well, so that we can have a better understanding of the issue, and then we can, provide some sort of recommendation. With technology, of course, we want to protect our interests in Belize. We want to protect our company, BTL. But as you all know, with technology, in a sense, it's inevitable that these things happen. It's something we're looking at. But I think once we get that presentation, we'll be in a better position to speak on the issue.
The government of Belize on Tuesday condemned Israel's decision to end ties with the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East. Last week, Israel had prohibited authorities from having contact with the UNRWA. The UN agency provides education, healthcare, and other basic services to Palestinian refugees. UNRWA said Israel's ban would lead to a collapse of humanitarian work in war-torn Gaza. Here is Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Francis Fonseca.
Yeah, very, very important. And Belize, we felt an absolute duty and obligation to make a very strong statement on this issue, condemning Israel's actions. This is an organization that, serves the needs of the people, Palestinian refugees, migrants, and absolutely it is, I think, wrong-headed for Israel to take this position. So we wanted to make it very clear where we stood in terms of the importance of this organization to ensuring the health and safety and wellness and dignity of the Palestinian people. So we hope that the international community will join with Belize in condemning this latest action by Israel, and work to ensure that the organization is restored and is able to continue its work in Gaza.
Asked if Trump's presidential victory in the U.S. could affect the current unrest in the Middle East.
Yeah, I mean, it's yet to be seen. Yeah, it's yet to be seen. That's a very difficult and complex issue. But we will see. We will see what happens next year. Yeah.
News update here this morning. We'll take a break now and come back on the other side to open the conversation. You're listening to Creme Radio. You're watching XTV. We will be right back.
The first private radio in Belize since 1989. The news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news, weather and sports.
All right, welcome back to the WB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes for today, Thursday, 7th November 2024. We've served you the warm-ups, you know, a little bit of the news. You've got your weather forecast, and now we are ready to sit down and reason and exchange thoughts, concerns, and issues. Thursday morning, we are going to launch the first part of the show with having a guest via Zoom. I said yesterday morning when I spoke a little bit in the first segment about article covering the situation with the fisheries in Belize, and I consider it to be an enormous journalism effort, and we spoke about the writer, Marco Lopez. It's in the Mandala newspaper of this week. And I spoke about how difficult it would be to get Marco on. Well, I think I obviously might have said the right words or just had luck, because this morning via Zoom, we do have Brother Marco Lopez with us for a short while. So I've got to say good morning and welcome to the WB, sir.
Morning, Belize, morning.
Hold on a second, because I have to make sure I hear you on.
Yeah, I know it's hard getting me on these television shows, but respect. I think it's very important that we hash out this conversation.
I'm not hearing the Patcliffe. I don't know.
Morning.
Let me hear you. All right, smally hiccup there, Brother Marco. Somebody take off the team song.
Yeah.
Let me see if I hear you now, brother.
Yes, brother. Morning, Mose. Morning, Belize. You have audio?
Yes, everything. 100 now, sir.
Okay, respect. Give thanks for the opportunity. And again, morning, Belize. Yeah, so we're here, man.
I hope you don't feel like I do it wrong by kind of telling people how difficult it is for try to get you up on the show.
I think who know me know how difficult it is. I prefer to be behind the camera, you know. That's always been the case.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Been the case.
Yeah, you don't like the light.
No.
But I'm glad you're bending your rules a little bit this morning to join me. And again, well, I did it yesterday, and I'll do it here with you being in person. Congratulations on a great article. I'm very proud of it, of course. Tremendous work. What was it like getting this article out? Could you just give us a kind of a description of what was entailed, what was involved, and how long it took for you to get this article out, which is called Code Red in the Blue. It's right now available. You can go and check it out on Amandala's website.
Yes, sir. So I just want to really preface the conversation by saying that the journalists that worked on these articles, right, we are not adversaries of the Fisheries Department, the Ministry of the Economy, and the government, because that's sort of a narrative that has been pushed for a long time, that we're somehow separate from the collective. We're not adversaries. We're simply trying to determine the true state of the fisheries in Belize, right? That said, that's the overarching purpose of these articles. But for me, it started as far back as June 2023 was. I know we have a wave right now of the articles coming in, but last year I was like a voice in the desert, you'd say, a voice in the ocean, rather, that no one really picked it up, and instead of the department actually, accepting, well, I wouldn't say accepting, but at least coming to the table with NGO on this data, they decided to refute the messenger, myself, and the Amandala on a number of occasions. So it was 4 stories before this final story, and I hope this is the final story that's produced. And this started back in May, this investigative piece, so it's been 6 months putting this together. And like I said, it's really just to determine the state of the industry based on the data that the Belize Fisheries Project compiled a reconstruction of our stock assessment, and whatever data the Fisheries Department had claimed to have. Well, the touching on stock assessment reconstruction, the Belize Fisheries Project is a consortium of 6 organizations, and they have with their leading that team the world's, for all intents and purposes, most cited fisheries scientist, Dr. Daniel Pauly, and an excellent team. You know, this is like the dream team coming to help you out. That's how I saw it. You know, so the reconstruction found that 17 of 20 commercial fish species were quote unquote in the red, you know, critically overexploited. And importantly, 2 of those species, conch and lobster, which is our mainstay or exported or main commercial export fishes, fish species, those were looking very, very bad and are looking very bad. They say the projections are, if the current rate of fishing continues without any management being implemented, then those may very well deplete in a very short term. So for me, that was a crisis, and that's how I penned the first article. Belize fisheries in crisis. Of course, that was refuted by the Fisheries Department, and it was a back and forth of that. And it really ended with the last article before this one, when I just asked what's there to refute, because it's not really a point of refuting this data at this point, since the scientists are saying this, the fisher folk are saying this, and I think what happened is that we went silent for a while, the Fisheries Department, and even the story, the reporting. So last year, the Summit Foundation, through the Earth Journalism Network, they decided to pick up on the reporting again. They did a week, I think it was a week of workshops, yeah, and journalists pitched stories on the fisheries, and this is a story that I pitched to write. Basically, that's how I started and got writing this story. But yeah.
So one of the things thanks for that, Marco, because I think I failed to mention that this has kind of been episodal for you.
Yeah.
I kind of just zoomed in on this particular article, but what I did describe is the fact that this has been an ongoing feud of sort, a dispute about facts, about one side saying it's day and another side saying it's night, really. And it's a consequential dispute, but it's really, it's been a little bit under the surface because yes, you have been writing those articles, but it's not really been zoomed in. Like, it's not been a significant topic conversation, and so you have this feud going on as it relates to a very consequential reality affecting a critical industry of ours, 3,000 to 4,000 families who are locked into this particular industry, and it's like it's kind of very coincidental, but I also think it's very telling that in the very morning when we are going to have this conversation, Marco, yesterday there was a big press conference. The Ministry of Agriculture comes forward and talks about the crisis, the potential crisis that needs to be averted insofar as the school worm, and there's a whole press conference to deal with it because we have 5,000 to 6,000 cattle ranchers, and understandably it's a significant thing. It's a $90 million industry, and we understand where it is. Nothing of the sort that in any way resembles that kind of priority do we experience when we are talking about the fishing industry. So I think that therein is why I think it's so important to zoom in on this extraordinary work that has been done and being done by others. We know that Marisol has come out with the initial article dealing with the exclusive economic zone, and she's following that up with what has been the effect of the gillnet ban and so on. There's a whole new series that has come out now with that. So this focus is critical, and obviously it's a part of a collaboration, and I think that's what you described. But I want to, before I go into the article, Marco, I know I put you in an uncomfortable spot, because I do have to say it is remarkable, and something that has to be looked at is that you have, to a great extent, utilized your platform originally in a mandala, looking at climate change realities, and also you've been, before it is you had the collaboration with the Earth Journalism Network. This was a story that you took on, and also
Yes.
this was not a story that was imposed on you. It is the one that you pitched for the collaboration. So this is a story, this is a matter that you obviously feel attracted to, which I find extraordinary. It shouldn't be, but then that's the reality. People are drawn to a lot more sexy things than that's going on. Why?
Man, there's nothing sexier than the Belizean blue, Mose. What's better than that?
Well,
Honestly, you know.
yes.
I think the reason why I gravitated towards it, Moses, because you know my kin, we are seafaring people, man. You know, I have a close connection to the sea as well. So for me it was something that I felt it was important, just because of my personal connection to the sea, and I think about lobster at tobacco key and salt water, bro. You know, the vibe. I think about when the season starts and the hype, and I spoke with a lot of them, my family and friends and fisher folk from all over the country, but mainly from the south, and they're experiencing the same thing on the ground. You know, they're experiencing this on the ground. So I think right now it's a policy stance that has to shift from viewing the resource as optimal production. We want to get optimal production out of this resource instead of actually protecting it, you know. So I think maybe that's the reason I gravitate toward the story, man.
All right. Now, you have described what I think people might be very again. It's you've been incorporated into the field of sort, because with your initial article, the Mandela and yourself, there was pushback. And you opened up by saying, listen, there's no malice here. The role of a journalist is to say, listen, these are the facts as I see them. What's your response? What is it? It's not about, you're trying to bring down the regulatory body or anything like that, but it's to say, to hold them accountable, which is your job. But ultimately their response has to be critique, has to be called out, though. What are your thoughts about the fact that they have been so uncomfortable with being held accountable and so unwilling to be engaged and to be absolutely forthcoming and transparent? Like, ultimately, those are red flags.
Yeah, those are red flags. For me, I think initially it was all about saving face, man. Saving face. We rightly deserve. Belize have this reputation on the international scene that we are a mecca of conservation and blue economy development, and that we are a leading force in ocean management and conservation. Fine. We have the chunk of the Mesoamerica Barrier Reef is on our coast. We have abundance, man. And something I touched in the article, and something that Dr. Pauly also agreed in Canada, he said they have abundant forests. So it seems that they're doing good conservation, but it's just because they have so much. And it's pretty much the same in Belize. We have such great blue resources that it would seem that the efforts that we put on paper are actually good, are actually working. But a lot of these times, the efforts we put on paper are actually stay right there. The response from fisheries for me initially, it was surprising when I saw. It was surprising for me when they first came out and refuted with such strong words and strong language, and that of course, signal a red flag to me, like, okay, why are you so defensive about this thing? And so my first response was to ask them for the data that they claim to have had. In that initial first press release that was released in July 2023, they had mentioned about a $7 million loan from the IDB that they would have gotten through the government of Belize IDB collaboration to do stock assessments. That was in July 2023. So I asked them for the data that they have currently from 2023, and that has been the constant email. Every time they send out a release saying that, okay, we have sustainable stocks, we've been doing this for 30 years, and it's showing that everything is all good. Then I say, please produce the data, please provide the data, because the data that's being shared by the Belize Fishes Project was compiled using all the known literature, everything that is published, everything that is peer-reviewed, everything that has been verified. So I'm saying, okay, fine. If they have all this data, then they should have the data you claim to have saying that we have sustainable stocks. That wasn't the case. So it went as far as going through a Freedom of Information Act process with myself, 4 other journalists, and the chairman of the Belize Fisheries Federation to actually get this data, because we've been asking, well, I've been asking countless times in all kind of ways from all sort of mediums, and haven't gotten any response. The FOIA process was surprising again. It was the first time I tried going through that legislative process to actually get data from a regulatory body. It was a very long-winded struggle, I would say. Initially, the acting fisheries administrator, Rigoberto Quintana, he basically demanded 3 months to produce the data that they claim to have. Within that 3-month period, though, the fisheries were presenting on the same stock assessment data all over. You know, so it's a thing. It's like almost insulting. You know, it's almost like we have this data, we're presenting it out here, but you wait 3 months until we decide to give you. Well, they didn't meet the 3-month deadline, but they sent it 2 weeks after, and instead of data, they sent information. They sent a bunch of PDFs, they sent spreadsheets, they didn't send anything that was published, peer-reviewed, verified, a bunch of internal reports. Those are not data, you know? So I reported it as such. They failed to provide the data that was requested through the FOIA process, and that's where we go into the other section of the whole article that looks at how are they gathering the data that they claim to be gathering, you know?
Marco, it's almost like we're existing in an alternate universe. And
Yeah,
I'll tell you why. Because everything is completely out of whack. We got a call last week when we were having these conversations from Brother Nigel from the Belize Federation of Fishers. And again, a part that we see out of Marisol's article as well, that when this was initially presented to fisher folk, like, they had to essentially win over fisher folk for them to, yes, they're experiencing something on the ground, but still, it's still a very dire report, very dire data, and usually it is the regulatory body that is trying to get the stakeholder to appreciate what the reality is based on the data. But in this universe that we're existing, where the fisheries department is existing, is completely reversed. It is the stakeholder trying to tell the regulatory body, man, your data process is flawed, and you are not saying what the reality is. Like the stakeholder group has bought into the science before the regulatory body. That is what is completely upside down here, and is just so something has to, if things just one day start to go up rather than come down, then we have to find out what the hell is going on here. I see a call coming in. The problem with the call with caller is that Marco will not be able to hear you because of the limitation of the Zoom Connect. So caller, we'll have to hear from you maybe after we finish off with Marco. I'm sorry about that. Unless maybe I can tell you what the question is. So, Scott, I don't want to let them feel we're trying to bar participation. Good morning, WB.
Yeah. Brother Mose,
Yes.
I woke up this morning, the sun is shining, the world sweet.
Hold on, brother. You have to call me back after.
Fruition.
Brother Colin Moore, you have to call me back after the break because I am in the middle of a Zoom thing and I know you're going in a different direction. So after the break.
I will, brother.
Yeah, man. Cool. But
Yeah.
so Marco, we're here where things are not flowing correct and it doesn't make any sense. The river is going upstream. Do we have a sense of, okay, so why is this, what explains this very bizarre behavior where the regulatory body wants to defend a position that things are okay, and the people who are on the ground, the stakeholders who are usually very uncomfortable with science, very uncomfortable with being told, they have listened to the presentation, they have questioned the persons who have come and they have said, okay, this is our reality. What's going on here?
Yeah. So, interestingly, as a part of the FOIA process, and I said that they didn't send any data, and it's right, but one of the good things about getting this dump of data is that you'll find gems. If out of 20, if you don't find gems in 23 documents, that means you're not digging correctly. In the minutes that they sent, because we did request minutes from the Fisheries Council, they made it very clear that whatever work the Summit Foundation, that is the body that provide the funded support to the scientists to carry out the reconstruction. They believe that they intended to show some sort of negative picture to mobilize resources on their end, and they claim to have done everything they needed to report to clarify the misconception, and I assume those are the countless press release. So I believe that really we have a centralized control of the information that's coming out of the fisheries for I think controlling the narrative that Belize is such this mecca, and we are. That is not to say that we're not, but we need to make sure we have the proper management in place to maintain that reputation. The data is showing that that is not the case. But I believe this whole perception is just to maintain that reputation on international scene. That's all I could say.
To see a face.
See a face. Yeah.
But then at the expense of the
expense of fisher folk, at the expense of generational fisher folk, fishing communities that have strived off of this, and at the expense of their own reputation eventually, because we could say as much as that everything's sustainable, but every year the fisher folk is saying we have to travel farther, we're catching less. At some point they'll say nothing is out there, and that is the point we don't want to reach. That is the point that we need to go ahead.
At one point the well is going to be dry when you go to the well.
At one point the well, yes, and this is what is being heralded by the fisher folk, the stakeholder, and by the scientists. We need the regulatory body on the ground to say, okay, come to the table, and not you don't have to see a face. And something Dr. Paul shared is that the department would look good if they embrace this data, But I want to speak on the methodology a bit, if you'd allow me to.
Yes, sir.
The methodology used by the Fisheries Department still was created by Dr. Richard Appledorn, 1996, and 2003 he came to Belize and did stock assessment on the conch. He is a conch specialist. I reached out to him because in an interview that the manager of the captured fisheries unit, Kenneth Esquivel, did on Open Your Eyes on the 6th of August 2024, he shared that the department is still using this methodology from 1996 from Dr. Appledorn, proudly, openly. And for me, that was bizarre because the methodology used by the Belize Fishes Project is not only the most recent, but it is the gold standard. It's peer reviewed, and it's literally now the gold standard in fisheries stock assessment across the world, across the board. Dr. Appledorn, the person that created the fisheries stock assessment that the fisheries is still using, shared this. He said this openly, and the statement is annexed to the article. You could read the full statement, and I've emailed the statement as well to the fisheries department. He shared that if the fisheries is still using my outdated methodology, then obviously the data that they have, whatever information is have that they're still using, is not valid. So the results will be invalid. So that means whatever management we have in place based on this dated methodology is not valid. Now we have an opportunity where we have the world's leading fisheries scientists, and we have a number of them. We have Andy Rosenberg, who was the deputy director of NOAA, and presently he is the head of Emerald Americas. Dr. Andy Pauly, Bora Oceana, Dr. Deng. We have so many highly accredited fisheries scientists. Like I said, I see it like a dream team coming to play on your side, you know? And we're denying this? I don't know. So yeah.
That's where
we are there.
So the article has come out. Have you been getting any feedback? Do you believe that? Because ultimately, you're not just. It's not just seeking glory.
No.
It's about
we
seeking.
We need the fishes to come to the table, man.
It's about seeking movement and getting changes. Ultimately, do we
Yes.
Is there a confidence that at some point they are going to realize, listen, you can't hide from reality longer. That the game is done. The game is out. We could see what's going on. Come back with you with the wheel. Is that your belief that this is how it's going to work out?
I hope so. In my heart of hearts, I hope so. That would be to the greatest credit of the fisheries department and the greatest benefit the fisheries, the fisher folk and the fishing communities. So in my heart of hearts, that's my greatest desire. That would be the end result of this work. And that's the way I ended the article, by saying that we have to realize that we are all in the same boat, and not only fisheries and fisher folk, scientists and the regulatory body, the entire country. You made a point that the fish is one of the main source of proteins for us. It's a food source, you know. It's an important food source. So all of us, the entire country, is in the same boat, and a lot of industries are in the same boat as well. So I mean, it'd be in the best interest of everybody if we all come around the table and find a way to move forward on whatever is being shared. And yeah.
You know, I know you're on a tight schedule this morning, Marco, and it's approaching 7:30.
Yeah.
But let me just say that the unique thing about the fishing industry is that it does not require the usual level of input to create the product. So if you're going to go into cattle, you have to figure out where you're going to get your initial startup for your herd. You have your livestock, you have to get some baby cattle in. If you want to go into chicken farming, you have to figure out where you're going to get some baby chicks, and you have to go on cob, and you have to make sure then you get food, and you have to make sure you take care of the flock. If you're going into citrus, you have to find some baby citrus plants. You have to figure out how you plant. You have to fertilize them. And take your time till you bring out food. What's unique about the fishing industry is that we came here and it was there. And what we are tasked to do is now just to do it in a way, because the fishes. The snapper and grouper and conchs and lobster, they don't need we to figure out how to make some love today and a couple of weeks we got something. It's happening, it's going on. They don't got in cope with Scarlet Reef, they got everything done set up. So it's like this industry is built on a primary gift, and a great fortune that we have it.
Yeah.
And we are just tasked with its proper management. Like, that's what we are tasked with.
Yes.
And what we are what we're staring in the face is that the potential is extremely high, unfortunately, that our management would prove to be so inadequate that we end up losing the goose that lays the golden egg. And that would be an incredible indictment on our ability to manage properly and to take care of that which takes care of us. And we don't, if we think that might be just the way it is, an inconsequential reality, start to read up on the reality of what created the piracy in Somalia and the destabilization of an entire nation because it lost its marine wealth, it lost its fishing stock, it lost it, and that would be it would have a similar social impact if we should end up falling over the cliff. And you've spoken to these world accredited scientists, you've spoken to, obviously, undeniable one of the leading experts on fishing stock assessment, Dr. Parley. How real is that possibility that we are just going to fall over the cliff's edge? Marco, just before you go.
Well, you said it, man. It's pretty real, and it's a reality if we don't implement the proper management, if we don't use the most recent data. And I want to touch on one section, the Belize Fisheries Resource Act, Section 7, that speaks about the precautionary approach that the Fisheries Department should take. Now, they are mandated that they should use the best possible scientific data. I think it's already clear that because of they're using a dated methodology from 1996 to 2003, they are not using the best possible scientific data. They're mandated that in the absence of this data, and in the case of any uncertainty that they're not sure, that they should aim to ensure that they avoid irreversible damage on the industry, you know. And this, you do that by implementing management measures. Even if there are more stringent management measures, they have to manage. That's the point. We can't manage for optimal production, meaning that you can't manage to continue taking out of the ocean. You have to manage to protect, and that's the policy stance that has to change. This is not a resource that will of course it's there, but if it's there and they reproduce and we continue to replicate, but we have to manage not with the idea that this status quo will continue. We have a lot of factors to consider. We have climate change, we have the heating at the ocean, we have ocean acidification, we have the marine heat waves. We have a lot of factors to consider that could affect the fisheries beside the lack of proper management and the exploitation of the resources. The Fisheries Resource Act mandate that we use the best possible data, and even in the absence of that, we try our best to implement management measures that would avoid a fallout. Not continuing in the status quo and saying everything is all good, signing a press release, getting this, getting that, and saying that we'll do this, but don't actually do it. You know? So that's where I am. That's where I am on this. I hope that for me, this is a full circle. This comes full circle from the work that I've been doing since June 2023. And I hope that the regulatory body, the stakeholders, the scientists, and on the ground could come together and find a middle ground and move forward with power management at the fisheries.
Marco, I really appreciate you bending the rules this morning, and I'm sure that our listeners and viewers have benefited significantly from that. And again, the next time I will try my best to get you on. As I said yesterday, I think, and I will say this publicly, I said it publicly yesterday, but I say it publicly with you with your presence, in your presence. I feel that your story, your journey, and you and where you are is an important story for where you are from, and from your community, and for your people who are like you, who look like you, who know, who have walked the walk like you. Like, people have heard you this morning and they don't know your story. They don't know you come up from the ground. They don't know that you could have gone one next direction. They don't know that you could have getting out of the grime. They don't know that, boy, watch your story cannot be your who you are. And I know that I know where you want. That's, that's not what you're in. But the life is such sometimes that you're just like how the fisheries regulatory body can't hide and keep from the real data so that we are guided by the good data. Same way, a lot of youths out there need for say other ways that people just like them have found their way out, and they live one different version of themselves, and they require that new, they require the authenticity of that journey if you could be inspired by it. And so I want to make my case, and about just for say hype you up, young brother, but the fact is that I kind of familiar a little bit with your journey, and know that, like, legitimately you could have been there now. You could have been there in the spotlight from a different reason. Easy that come and be your and the margins are so small for a lot of young black brothers right now. I see in community where you come. I mean, you have lost family, bona fide people in your life through where they go on, especially right here in Ability. And so I feel like that story and that part of your story has to be out there for the youth to understand. We could live for self in a different way, birds.
Yeah. I think I have a lot more journalism to do before I tell that story, Mose. Maximum respect, man. I think I have a lot more journalism to do before I tell that story, but maximum respect, man. Respect. And you're right. For all intents and purposes, my story started at the MCO room at Creme TV, so respect to that. Respect to the institution. I command the law.
Well, I think the story go way back to, or at least for me, and knowing you that through the University of Hyde Vibes.
Of course. Yes, sir.
And I think that,
yes,
ultimately, you know that we good bedroom Father Lino get flowers, you know what I mean? And we have to do something about that, because the University of Hyde Vibe, in a own way, has been a incredibly priceless refuge. And
yes, sir.
And we know that right now there are real struggle and a tough time for our brother. I just want to reach out again and shout, but
respect.
Yes, flowers,
no, the Heights play an important role in a lot of youths life, a lot of productive people in the society. So I like you said, you have to give Heights flowers and the Big Brother flowers, of course, man. Respect, man.
Big respect, Marco. Continue the great work. We know that nothing but gems, continue to bring forth. This is definitely one. Check out the article. It's called Red in the Blue. It's right now available on Mandela Tuesday edition on the Mandela, I believe it was, and it's available on the website. You can check it out. Please do. And of course, I know that before it even came out, the president of the Belize Federation of Fisheries come out and say, yo, don't give the article the salute, give it a max respect.
Yo, maximum respect to the Federation, same way. They have been from the start along our force, same way. So maximum respect to the BFF, to Brother Nigel, Brother Deal, and Brother George, of course, and all the members. Respect.
All right. We head down to 2 Cents Calm, sponsored by 4 Point Security. Then we take our first break of the morning. Salute Marco Lopez for joining us for this first segment of the show. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the WB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. Mose Hyde hosting this morning, and of course we're open for your input. Our telephone line is at 280-5848. It's a direct line for you to participate in the conversation. We love when you call in. It's kind of difficult when we have a guest, kind of like, we can't go off topic. And if a call comes in on topic, then we can accommodate. There are exceptions, of course, when something is so important that we have to accommodate as best we can. But right now there's no guest, so you have no excuse. Telephone number 280-5848. The great Colin called us, which is again surprising since he is welcomed back at his original preferred stomping ground at Bell China, but maybe it is that the manner link we're back. Good morning, WB.
Hello, morning, Belize. Yeah. I have been patiently waiting for getting a chance to call in, and because the topics are so hot and timely, I'm like, I have to call in. So one, I want to report back in on last Wednesday. The Bad Education Foundation did our first protest of many more, and we're protesting for the Ministry of Education to create a HERE app. Initially, we were saying a policy. Then somebody said to me, how much policy do you got? And the policy do not have no teeth, so it would be better to have an act, even though you already have the Constitution as the supreme law. And I think about that case, I think yesterday, it was this week a show with Leslie Mendez and the youth and the cell phone, that even though the Constitution gave people the right to record the police officers, they still needed something else because it's so general that people just do what they want. Anyways, I had to put out one call. My number is 671-8050. If there's any students and parents who were discriminated against based on HERE and that child not getting an education, or tell that you can't come out of school, which means you can't get education unless you adhere to HERE rule, please contact me because we'll look for cases who will be willing to go before the court. That's what we really need right now. It's one of the actions that UWUB is willing to take in holding the state accountable to ensure that the HERE discrimination not happen anymore and Belizean students are no longer denied the right to an education because of the HERE style. So that's why I protest every other Wednesday from 8 to 12 in front of the Belize District Education Center on Mahogany Street behind Complex. I had one of the best protests I've ever participated in. That made me a creator in the African ancestors and ancestors, but because of the location, the heart and sweet outside Belize City, I mean the love of people. Then give me water, then give me Gatorade, then give me orange, then blow their hand, then holler thing, then stop and ask, then engage in a conversation, then take pictures. And I really appreciate the community love and support. As this campaign goes, there will be different ways for Belizeans to engage in this particular campaign. So on this Wednesday, which will be the 13th, and then again on the 27th of November from 8 to 12 in front of the District Education Center, I will continue to advocate for Belizean students to have the right to an education and not deny the right to the education based on the HERE. We focus on we advocate for African descendants, racialized as Black people specifically, and so our focus is on Black youth. But all Belizean children would benefit once the state passed an act that says that the Belizean children should not be denied their right to education because of the HERE. That's the one thing. The second thing is starting this Saturday and every other Saturday after that, the 16th, the 23rd, the 30th of November. I don't know how it is, it's Character Settlement Month. From 10 to 11, we're asking Belizeans to join in on XTV for UEF annual Garifuna Our Story. An hour of community Zoom conversation. We invite a guest in. The guest we have every year, that's Brother Jerry Enriquez, writer, consultant, activist, well-known Garifuna brother. And he'll be our first guest. For the first half hour, I would reason with a guest. In the next half hour, thank you, MCO. I'm going to prefer the Zoom ID and the passcode is there on the flyer. 1199. Now, why these conversations are important? And I tell people, I only could talk about what I know. If somebody made a do it before and there's a lot of things that I don't know, I could just hold me accountable and I humble myself. The reason why you will start these conversations is because I'm as colonized as most other people. I'm very sensitive to telling other people's stories. People have a right to tell their own stories. So I take it personal when people who do not identify as, let's say, African descendants visualize as black people, decide to talk for black people. You do not live that life. You're not in a body for experience, and African people have all kinds of different realities. I don't want to have the same life. I don't want to have the same experiences. If you don't live that, then who you for talk about it? So I can never talk as a Maya person. I can never talk as a Chinese person. But I know what it's like to be an African person visualized as a black person. I know what it's like, and it's different for different people, as I say. So initially, I never want to touch the story because I'm like, I'm not a Garifuna person. That's not my lineage. But I had questions about the Garifuna people because when I look for the black people, and what I hear about it, not to satisfy my hunger for black people knowledge and lifestyle. So I started to research Garifuna people, and I said, no man, that's our colonial way of thinking. All of the black people, you have to lead the process if, as a group, as a Garifuna group, they're not doing it, at least in a way to satisfy me, and I know about it. And so we started this conversation, it has been very similar to how the rest of we black people don't know for these stories. We don't know African, indigenous, Garifuna people stories. So one of the things that I find interesting, and you know they have one singular narrative, November 19th. And November 19th is really the 1832 story. But what I never know, that the 1802 story, when I think 150 Garifuna people came in, 1802 they were enslaved Africans in Belize. So you have two sets of African people, Garifuna, and then enslaved Africans, and they could not, based on the British enslavers, they could not be around each other. So that's just one of the things that I want to share with people. And another thing that was a surprise that bothered me is the narrative that we were never enslaved as Garifuna people. I'm like, how could Garifuna people say they were never enslaved? When you look in the mirror, then definitely say African people, right? The only way you can look like an African, anywhere outside the continent of Africa, in that time period, that in an enslavement status. So when the enslaver kidnapped we African ancestors and bring them across the water, they never agreed for come. They were in enslavement status at the point, and there are different narratives of how African people ended up in the Antilles. One being that the enslaved Africans took control of an enslaved vessel, and it went along the St. Vincent, but they were in enslaved status at that time. And then another narrative is that you had enslaved people from other Caribbean islands who escaped from those Caribbean islands and went to St. Vincent. So that's why these conversations are important, so we could set their story straight. That is not, like, when they try, like, disconnect as African people is my position. And anyway, so when you have Garifuna people, like Brother Jerry Enriquez, and we have others who are coming on this year. We have one sister this year, Ifashina, will come on be the third guest for the 23rd. And then we have this Belizean artist, Rodel, I forget it last. I don't know if you know the brother. We have the Garifuna restaurant, the Chicago Mose. Have you heard of him?
I've heard about the restaurant, but it doesn't jump out at me.
That was one of the things that surprised me, because as big as this artist are big, I just never knew about him before. His name is Rodel Castillo. Musician, educator, restaurateur, big brother. He's the guest on the 30th. I try locking my youth for the 16th, but I encourage Belizeans to tune in from 10 to 11. You could tune in to XTV Belize on YouTube, XTV on your local television channel, or Facebook XTV Belize. That's this Saturday from 10 to 11 o'clock. And just before I go, I can't say big up enough and how extremely proud I am as a black woman of Marco Lopez, as a everyday black youth, stars of the earth, struggling black man who makes different choices with extreme community support. Former editor of the Mandela newspaper for Del Park Hyde, and the do what he do. And the part where I love about that so much more, it keep the hand in the dirt. He's a farmer. I am just so proud of Marco Lopez and looking for, and I've seen a long time ago, we know the boat like that, but for someone black youth outside Belize City with his intellect, creativity, courage, analysis, confidence, calmness, just the best of I tell no I black and bregging. And when I say I'm black youth like that, we want bregging for now. And I again with much community support. But at the same time he makes a lot of different choices. But for him there, he never forgets where he come from. Never ever humble, approachable, but no playing IP, because Marco about business. So we just want to fill up Marco Lopez and all the other journalists, because there's other, if you go to earth journalism, when you see that there's other stories out there, when you make it, you know, I saw you when you own media house, you know, we could platform Marco and Marisol. But there's other journalists out there who do meaningful work. When I get that kind of ratings, you see me? But it tells Belizean people, it's up to we to get the knowledge, for then be able to have these conversations. As people will know, UEF has been the leading organization when it comes to the XTV agreement, which is a regional agreement on access to information, public participation, and environmental justice in Latin America and the Caribbean. We have the XTV agreement. And it's because of primarily UEF support and community support that Belize ratified that agreement. And so that's why stories like these, UEF make sure we push their stories in so-called Latin America, Abayala, the Caribbean, Europe. Soon as I see Marco and I get that XTV Belize YouTube link and I just start to blast that, like, you know, Lucky no, Idian no, listen to the author, the article I shared with you yesterday. And so it's up to we to not just accept what anybody tell we. We are people in our families that are fishers. We hear what they say. We like I shared before, you have had some people in country during the summer. And for the first time, I started in Chinook, Couple Bank, met with a Barco fishing community down south. And when it hurt, now, when you see grown men, when you listen to their telling story more, it hurts to hear them say, we are generational fishers. That then they tell for them, you say, you have to go get an education. They can't fish no more. Not the out there. And one of them said to me, say, listen, they could go somewhere with their conversation about alternative fishing, because if they bring money, I tell them to go raise pig, we take their money. But start enough we bail, we go in the sea, no matter what we go in the sea. But when you hear the challenges within the sea, when you have big resorts, they're out there with tourists, the port off with lobster. They don't spend nothing for their big resort and for their fishing boat, but they come for their fisher every time. One fisher, because one fisher now you have one like one label for your boat. You can't just go for your boat with your family, because once you out there, as far as they're concerned, you're a commercial fisher, so you can't just go for the weekend with your family and just hang like you used to. A lot has changed, but the fishers, they're really not organized, and so BFF to do meaningful work on behalf of fishers. And one of the things that George said, I think it was maybe in 2023, which I never think when I used to say so before, and I just say, Lord, you're ignorant. You live in Belize City, right? We don't think about how close we are to the reef, and how much we just got a fish market and take it for granted that them brother and sister just wanted a fish, or have fish out there, we got a fish market in the covered and street out of barracks. We don't realize how close Belize City is and how much fishers, well, after they come out of the industry, I think 40%, like, of the 100% of registered fishers, if I'm not mistaken, I think BFF said 40% of the fishers come from Belize City. And we don't think about that. Like, when I think of fishers for real, I think Sardinia, I think of not. I don't think Belize City, I don't think Dangriga, which are coastal villages. Anyway, I think of lots of airtime. Anything you want to before I hang up more?
Yeah, so I think it's just unfortunate that it's not looked upon as a prestigious, some kind of prestigious profession. If you're not a fisher, you're thought of, well, that's where you end up doing if you kind of drop out of school or something. And so there is this built-in bias, prejudice when you're talking, you're doing a kind of critical analysis of a particular industry. If you have somebody who is a cattle farmer and you're talking about cattle, that cattle farmer is going to be central to that conversation. There is a sense of this person having, you know, the understanding and the value, the expertise, or any, you know, people, especially people on land, they have this respect. I think it's unfortunate that, you know, especially if you have not been acquainted and you don't have one built-in appreciation. So I essentially come up in a family where, because of just a deep relationship with the sea, that you have people in my family where that what they do, and then people that are revered, right? Like there is a reverence given to somebody where could operate palm water, because water is not the natural environment for a human being, right? And so when one person learn how to navigate, learn how to handle themselves, palm water, underwater, and develop that knowledge is the equivalent of somebody who gone a university and you know, whatever 4-6 years, and they acquire one knowledge, specialized knowledge, and call it expertise. And so that's one of the mindsets where I think with the try change, make people understand that one thing, if you go to water and take a swim and drink a beer and you know how people enjoy the sea, most people. And our next thing, when you talk about people who know how to carve one living by going by the sea and understanding that culture and living there, and know how to know exactly where part of the rock there, where part they know fish there, and they never, and then they do this before you got GPS. GPS of course have made it easier now, but man going at the back of their head, and you would have seen man they watch some mark and they line it up with something else, and then they make adjustments and they check the current and see how the boat the trail, and then make adjustment on the length of the anchor rope, and then after going through it, you know, tell about no computer screen there, they watch, and then they watch everything wrong there, and they measure it, they look on the water, and then when they say drop line, like a fish there. So when somebody do that wrong, you don't have no other choice but to be absolutely blown away that somebody has that knowledge there. And so, you know, when you got that, it's a great fortune for you able to have that experience early enough that you got this built-in value and this built-in respect for these people, but also to you know, I had the other kind of, as luck would have it. So my most of my first part of my existence as a human being, they grew up facing the Cope on the other side of the River Creek. And so in those times, if you see the boats come in with their lobster traps, so then go out, and then, you know, some of them become very famous fisher folk and that kind of thing. It's like that, my formative process. So, you know, the other like, if you see them ballet on a boat and then come in and boat full of things, or see them when they look for carry rations out, and or on Sunday sometime, they don't do it anymore, but on Sunday they used to race up and down in a River Creek in a boat, like that. That stay with you, you know, and you understand that, you know, for some people, for me, I never had to go read for no Belize city itself, one significant part of the culture, marine base, and so, you know, later on find out that again had the great privilege and fortune for me gone the Australia, the International Coastal Reef Symposium, and as a part of that there was a trip to go to the Great Barrier Reef, which, you know, a tremendous thing, tremendous privilege and fortune if you do that. But I remember the morning getting up and they say we're going on this big boat, and it take we from what is considered the port city for the Barrier Reef, Cairn, Australia. It took us almost an hour and a half before you reach a point when they say, okay, we're there at the Great Barrier Reef. For most people going to the Great Barrier Reef from Cairn, when they promote tours, the water planes. So you have to get on a water plane to go with the reef, and I'm like, but I could throw a stone up on a piece of the Belize reef. Like, how long will it take before we get at this reef? Like, I may think as we take one boop and before you know it, we did a reef. Like, you know, you did a kikaka in 40 minutes. You did a golf ski, you know, if you're in a nice boat, you get there in 25, 30 minutes. You get a St. George's ski out there in a less time. Like, you know, it's like that. Like the Pantapawee, and that's something where we can't take for granted. In fact, you could see a number of people when the time of the year is right and the weather is right, you know, see them go right out of that promenade this side of Princess, and they want to catch the biggest jack right off of the seawall. It's the biggest jack. People go right off of the right back up port there. Big up TR maybe eat enough barracuda, cabillo, because they he go and when he go get respect, you know, come back empty-handed. But he get we eat some big fish and nobody get in a boat yet. Right there, that's not something we could take for granted, no. We have to understand that we're lucky if we have it. But we are tasked with the responsibility to take care of it and make sure that food, first of all. Then after that, we think about how we earn foreign exchange off it. If we know, then at one point, and I think this is a part of the problem, and I forgot a break after this, is that we want also export the fish. We export the fish, and certain people benefit when they export the products. We earn foreign exchange, so respect is due to that. But we also have to say, if we reach a point where we fishing stock is so low that one majority of restaurants then import fish. One lot of restaurants really go eat right now, the fish we really import come all the way from Vietnam. Like, nobody will tell you that, but that is real. We import fish from Mexico, we import, forgot the name of the fish we get from Vietnam. So we reach a critical point where we build up so much on the tourist industry. You know, when tourists come, they can't believe where we got a reef. They want to eat fish and they want to eat lobster and they want to eat all of that. You know, would they try export? Would they try sell tourists? And at the same time, would they try to figure out how we could eat this too? Because at one point in time, fish were very accessible for a low income family. Now, we reach a point where that become less and less one thing we could deal with. Like the fish is, and rightfully so, fisher folk may have to charge a bit more for their fish. So all these things are going on, and then we got a regulatory body where they play knockhead, and they have to be called out for it without malice or disrespect. If you know to do this thing correct and you dance wrong the reality, then we have to confront you and we have to sort it out. So I think that's what's beautiful about some of these articles that have been written. So I got to go to break. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, man. How many people want to save the people?
We go to break, we come back.
In Belize, diversity is our strength. From the vibrant streets of Corozal to the serene beauty of Punta Gorda, And from the charming town of Benke to the breathtaking views of Half Moon Key.
Good 8 minutes after 8 o'clock. Welcome back to the WB WUB Morning Vibes. It's Thursday. It's the 7th of November, 2024. And we open for the business of conversation. And we are inviting you to jump in. I know that, okay, you have a call. Krem, good morning, WB.
Oh, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
I'm a Fisher Manlo.
Yes, sir.
And I am listening to the topic this morning. It's a very interesting topic, but there's a lot of sides to this entire topic that we are talking about. No? One of the biggest challenges that we have is the tourism industry. And you know that is big money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we're developing, and most of these places that we develop, they are places that are, like for example, on the seas, on the islands. These are very...
Can you talk up a little bit louder for me, brother, because I have it on max right here and I still struggle to hear you.
Okay, I'm talking about the tourism industry.
Yes.
For example, I would just put, I live in Belize City, and I would just put right here in front of Belize City State Bank. Before that place was developed, that was a place where you could find a lot of fish, a lot of lobster. And I used to go like 10 minutes from my house to State Bank.
Mm.
And I used to fish for the day.
Mm.
Now, when the rich people, they start developing for tourism, they call that development.
Mm-hmm.
But when a fisherman use a net, they call that destruction. Right? Not only that, there's a lot of things that probably would take me a whole day to go through. I've been fishing for over 50 something years.
Mm-hmm. I see one of the suggestions coming out of Fisher Folk is and I think is a mention in this article that was written here by Marco as well, is a kind of looking at creating a lobster nursery as a way to kind of replenish. Now, I don't know the feasibility of that. I don't know anything about that as a have you heard any?
I have seen they try to grow lobster in Chicago, and it takes a long time. I think one of the reasons why they haven't gone into farming lobster is because of the time it takes to grow.
Mm.
But going back to my point, most of these NGOs, the people who work for these NGOs, they have their bread butter on fixed side.
Mm-hmm.
They get money from people who have tons of money outside to pour into people to try to conserve.
Mm-hmm.
We as fishermen, you know what they're doing with us? They're locking off places that we used to fish before. And this is one of the reasons why fishermen don't give out a lot of information now, like they used to before. Because whenever you go and you tell them, okay, we found this spot and this is a spot that we have been fishing on, they try to close it off, make it a reserve. So over, I think, probably 25, 30 years, they close off with a season. They have a season for grouper, and they have closed off places where these groupers used to spawn.
Let me ask you this: do you think that we would still have lobster and conchs if we did not have the closed season for lobster and conchs?
Well, we have been having closed season for lobster and conchs for ages, from the time I know.
Yes, exactly. So I'm saying, do you think if we never did that, because that was not always the case. I don't know, I can't recall exactly what year these were put in place. Obviously, from I know myself, there's an open and closed season, but it wasn't always there. So I'm asking. Huh?
And I know myself will have
yes, but it's not always been there. It's been there a long time, but it's not always been there. I'm asking you if, for the last 50 years, whatever length of time,
we need to have these things.
We need to have them, right? But
there are some truth and some lies of what these people are saying. Because, for example,
no, I didn't talk about people. I didn't talk about.
Let me say, just let me speak.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see with the Gillette.
Yeah.
When they closed the Gillette, they came to us and they said, you know what, they are thinking about banning the Gillette. And they are going to do a phase out. Oceana and I believe Fisheries Federation, they came and they said, you know what, we are going to do this, and then the government promised that they are going to bleed. Whatever we are able to gather, to give these people who have license to do the net fishing. The phase out was supposed to be in 2023. When was the net ban? In 2020. Okay? Now these things, they are political, and this is also one of the reasons that I don't like politicians. Because they only do things that are in their interest. They don't do things for the interest of our country. For them and for their cronies.
Okay.
For example, we have Nigeria, who are they working for? Yes, they are a part of the Fisheries Federation, but also who is Nigeria working for?
I don't know who he's working for. Who is he working for?
Yes, he works for Connect Slap. And those are people that are against. Now, this Gillette shouldn't have been done. It had needed to be, what you call it, phased out. They shouldn't have banned it in 2020. Because they said it was going to be a phase out until 2023. And right away they banned it completely. Now, what happened to us? The same time COVID came in. Yes, we got the money from both parties, but one came in, on a monthly. But then during COVID, what happened to the whole system here in Belize? Fishing everything, it hamburgers everybody. But my thing is, if you are trying to sell somebody something, tell the truth about things. But look at the Gillette. They have this deal that Gillette kill, and I think Gillette turtles and kill. One of them even asked me if I caught birds in Gillette. Now, do I set a Gillette in the air or do I set it in the water?
But you do have birds that die for fish, so it is.
I've never caught a bird in my life in a
Yeah, I'm not disputing whether or not you do have caught it, but I think the argument that it's not in the air does not prevent a bird from getting caught in it.
But those animals, they are smarter than us. I've never caught a turtle in my net, my entire life in fishing. I've never caught a manatee in net. Because throw that interface with your hand. Now, they put on their commercial.
No, one of the things,
the ones that are killing the manatees.
huh?
Why didn't they put on the commercial that the boats were the one that were killing the manatees?
Okay.
Which they are still doing at this point.
Absolutely.
Huh?
That's not
I
allowed.
have these boats.
Huh?
I have these tourist boats. They are the ones that are doing the destruction with the manatees. Running over the manatees, and whenever you find a manatee, you have some big chop in the back.
I think that one of the things I could mention, because you've brought up the whole gillnet thing, and I think there's some very significant work being done on the whole matter of the gillnet and the effect that it has had since it's been banned. That's been done right now by Marisol Amaya. So it gives me a good chance to promote that. But let me as well say that when we were having those gillnet conversations, the fisher folk made a compound this show, sitting in the same room, they voiced for their concerns about gillnet. And in fact, most of the fishing associations, except in Corozal, were supportive of the gillnet ban.
Most of these people that you see promote,
yeah,
they did two things. They were fishermen and they work in tourism. Okay? And they get paid on both sides. But somebody who lives out fishing, that has been all their life, you don't get that other income that they are getting. Because most of the people from PG and those places who wanted the ban. One of the reasons why I went into the ban of why I accepted
so
it.
What do you think, and I know that it's still happening, what do you think about those folks who put gillnet from bank to bank across river mouths? And
no, that is wrong. That is illegal. That is illegal.
But it's done. It has been done, and it's still being done.
What happened there is that the people who are supposed to see that this doesn't happen aren't doing their jobs.
So you would never do something like that?
No, I have never done something like that my entire life.
Well, it's good to know.
Okay? I've never done something like that my entire life.
Right. But you are aware of the fact that there are those who do that?
They have people do that who go straight just to do that. These people, they go out late at night, they set their net at the river mouth to catch snook. I am not a snook fisherman. I fish for mackerel and I used to fishing for shark. Okay? And now, these fishes, the mackerel, for example, these are fishes that travel. These are traveling fishes. They don't stay one place. So I don't see why they would ban something like that. If you want to do something
what do you do primarily now? What do you fish for primarily? And
well, primarily I try to do my lobster and other stuff. But
where do you put your where do you lobster trapping? RTNF or?
No. Inside the Belize Reef. Right now we can't work because of the red water. This is another thing that I think is wrong that they did with us. That they took and they zoned off the places. In our constitution as Belizeans, aren't we supposed to work any part of this country where we would like to, as long as we are not doing anything out of the order?
Yeah. I mean, I think that creating zones is a way to kind of better manage the resource. That doesn't mean that the way that they consult and how they determine the zones. But I think that for at the end of the day, fishing is really it is, and I don't say this in a negative way, because I don't, it's really it's been a kind of communism where the stock is there and everybody could go and anywhere and everywhere. In the case of being on land, for example, what we have done on land is to put up fences, right? And so people got their own piece of land for their sugar cane, people got their own piece of land for their cattle, people got their own areas where they want to do whatever they do. Fishing has not operated like that, but they have implemented now zones where now you're trying to manage and trying to share the opportunity, no?
Okay, there is also another thing.
Yeah.
With fishing, okay, I've been fishing over 50 years.
Yeah.
When I started fishing, there was probably maybe 500, maybe 1,000 people fishing.
Mm.
And right now, how many fishers we have?
3,000 to 4,000 based on what?
Okay. Now, let's say I have a pie, right? I have a pie. In my early days, that pie used to be divided between 200, 500 people.
Mm-hmm.
And now, how is that pie being divided?
Yeah.
So what are you expecting out of the same pie?
They've definitely not managed the licenses properly, to the extent that they have allowed a loophole for people that are not even from Belize to get these licenses.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that was one of the reasons why I said, you know what, if they're going to ban the Guatemalans from coming in to fish with gillnet, then if that's the way to get them out, then I would agree to sign a ban on the gillnet. Because they told me also, whether you like it or not, we are going to ban it. But that there was going to be a phase out in 2023. And when was the gillnet ban? In 2020. Also, the government was supposed to meet whatever the two NGOs had gathered and give to the fishermen also, to help them to divert into something else than with the gillnet.
All right.
And that didn't happen up to today. So where is the government in this?
All right, well, brother, I appreciate your call. I do have to go to break. Important topics you have brought up, and obviously, this is your livelihood. This is your livelihood, your life, really. So, I really appreciate the fact that we know that fishermen and people will like call no talk show. So I'm happy that we get one real life fisherman for engage on this. So give thanks, right?
Okay, thanks very much, and I hope I put in something into this.
You're putting your real life perspective better, and that's very, very valuable.
Okay.
All right, brother. Give thanks. We've got a break. Come back. All right, welcome back to the WB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. Mose Hyde in the house with you. And Krem, good morning. Hello, you got to lower your. Yes, I.
Yes, I know you're probably looking to start up about it, but I just wanted to say two things. One, Code Red in the Blue, excellent article. Amaya, she did a very good article like a week or two ago. Marco has actually measured up to and probably exceeded that gold standard. Kudos to the brother. I know you're probably getting set to leave. I will call in at some future date to also talk about, to some extent, just to give it based on what the brother has said. But keep up the good work, my brother. I can't say all that I need to say.
All right. Once you got life, we could reason on that. So you know how you go. Hopefully, early next week we could get your thoughts. Okay.
Yes, sir. All right. Have a good one.
Give thanks. Yeah, we are just quickly out of time, so we have to take a final break, come back and wrap up the show. All right. That's how we're going to do this. So we go to break, come back. All right, we are done for today. But of course, WB returns tomorrow morning at 6:30, Friday morning edition of the WB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. I come back here on Monday morning at 6:30. We hope you all have a great Thursday, of course. We thank the team, Larry G at Crum Radio, the Glue at XTV, Mr. Cliff Flores, our director this morning, Ms. Krista Flowers. Have a great Thursday. As always, stand strong, stand firm. For now, we're gone!
Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put the time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice of opinion and place your calling.